So UK's racism is very different to American racism because whereas in the UK, it's very
subtle.
It's very subtle. So it's like it's the same way it's why they were the greatest colonizer, right? It's such a small little island, but a great colonizer because it's very manipulative in the way that they're demeaning you and making you feel like you're less than. For the most part in Africa, they think it's just Africa that is corrupt.
Yeah.
And for years I've had debates about this. It's the West is just as, if not more, corrupt because even though we have great infrastructure, you'll be like, but you have free healthcare. When you go to the UK, you can get, benefits. You can not work and they'll give you some money. They'll help with your housing costs, but they're able to do that because they have stolen.
Peace and blessings, everybody. I am your brother Orina, all the way from the motherland, all the way from Kenya, Nairobi, nation's capital, and today we have a special. You know what special means? Special guest. Charmaine, welcome.
Thank you so much. That's really touched me. I feel really humbled.
Oh, it's special. And the first time I saw your work was recently. You've been posting a lot of educative content on Instagram. And I said, wow, I need to have you on the show. Because, this is a Pan African show. We believe in the unity of African people globally and the uplifting of Africa especially. So we believe that we are all in one race, black people from Europe, America, South America, Asia, wherever black people are, we are in one race and we belong into one family. So we are in one family, Charmaine.
Oh.
Yeah.
I believe so too.
I believe so too. So I think, just give us a bit of your background. First of all, how is Kenya? Just tell us, how is Kenya?
Oh, Kenya is treating me very well. Yeah, it's been great. I came here as part, I was booked for SPC Universe conference, and that was phenomenal. Got to meet some great founders, got to speak with them. And for me, that's always really important, is being able to kind of spread my information that I know and I have access to, and also looking at people who may be needing investment. So it's always good.
Wow. So how was it? It's called Africa Innovation then, yeah? How was it?
That was phenomenal. It was so much fun. And accidentally landed a podcast. If you watch the podcast when it launches, you'll understand why I did that look.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, that's nice. So how are the people in Kenya so far?
Kenyans have been so friendly. Honestly, I went out. What was the place that we went to? We went to a kitchen, Nairobi Street Kitchen. Oh,
Nairobi Street Kitchen.
Oh, that was really nice.
Here in Westland, yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. I would have liked to gone to a bit more of an underground party. I feel like it was still very diverse. It was very much it was targeted at people like me. Yeah. I'm a bit of a ratchet, so I do like to really go and But yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed that. I've had good food here. I've had good, everybody's been really friendly. So
you've had ugali.
Yeah. Yes. Not on this occasion though.
Oh,
not
really?
This visit to Kenya, sadly.
Oh no, you have.
I know. I was expecting he was going to bring some.
You know what? No, we have to do this.
I'm terribly disappointed.
I'm
disappointed in you, in management. I'm like, what's going on?
After this, we have to take some ugali. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
You guys heard it, right?
Yeah. We have to take some ugali after this. Maybe with some fish or beef stew, whatever.
Yes. Sounds good. Good.
So, Charmaine, thank you so much for coming. We have a lot to cover. I think my first question would be, what led you to post this educative content on IG? Even though I said that I told you in the lobby, Africa is waking up and everything. But yeah, we are waking up. But, it seems like we're moving one step forward and two steps back, or even two steps forward and one step. So there's always progress and the opposite of that. So why did you start posting educative content on your IG?
Okay, so there was a number of different reasons. Number one, I feel like it's my duty as someone who sits in the West, who has has grandparents that are African and Caribbean. My grandfather's Nigerian, my grandmother is Grenadian. My grandmother worked at the Nigerian embassy, and their plan was always to return home. Yeah, they left where they lived to move to the UK, and their plan was always to move home and to go and build. They were never able to. They passed, sadly. So it's like my lineage means that this is personal. It's not just something that's like a side hobby.
Yeah.
And I understand that my privilege means that I'm able to speak to a myriad of different people. And then my experiences are very different to most people who were in the UK or in the US who speak on these subjects, who haven't yet touched the soil. I've spent a lot of time on the continent, been living on the continent for 5 years in Ghana, but traveling across the whole of sub-Saharan Africa, looking at the investment landscape, helping to build structurally in terms of the tech ecosystem, laying a hand in some of the startup acts, and trying to assist with, growing those networks. But in trying to raise a fund to invest in Africa, in Europe, and seeing how Africa is spoken about like it's a swear word. So you go and like, I'm raising a fund. I want to raise a $50 million fund to invest in tech companies in sub-Saharan Africa. And it's like, but I'm like, okay, but there were funds literally going into war zones, at the same time, like to build. And it was like, that wasn't deemed as high risk, as high risk as Africa. And I started to think that maybe this narrative is deliberate. And it was becoming really frustrating for me. So whilst I like to touch a lot on subjects, I like to be really honest and transparent. There's some people that need calling out, but the focus on my work is really to focus on the positive narratives. So I think that it's really important to have those conversations. Here's something really great that's happening that no one knew that was happening. Why does no one know about this? Because bad news spreads faster, and most people don't want to talk about the positives, or we get caught in our own disgruntled moments of wanting to blame someone, right? We blame government for everything. And again, two things can be true. Government could be practicing poor conduct. Things like IMF debts, etc. Most of us don't understand them. So we just know that there's this much money is going in. We're paying taxes. Where's our money going? But the majority of it is getting swallowed up by these debts, these external debts, that have come from the last leader and the last leader, and they're just they're spilling over, right?
It's a cycle.
It becomes a cycle, and infrastructure is significantly delayed. There are a lot of conversations that need to happen. So why not start? Doing them myself. It's like, who are we waiting for? All of us play a role. So the same way we blame the leaders, both here in the UK and the Caribbean, I experience it across the board, right? And all of in all of my genetics, I'm kind of looking at, where can I be of help? And it's like, it's the same story. Poor leadership, okay, but poor leadership is encouraged by lack of knowledge. And I did a post recently about, I haven't actually posted it yet, but just about the national reading ages for most countries, right? Yeah. And competency. And the fact that if the national reading age isn't really great and the competency isn't great, then people use a lot of triggers to try and cause conflict within those who don't understand, and to use those moments to spearhead campaigns against each other. So say, for example, you speak about the fact, this government has been in power for 4 years and you're still poor, right? Yes, we're angry now. We're angry at this leader. And it's like, okay, but have there been any changes? Have they implemented anything good whatsoever? And how can we learn to quantify what those changes are if we don't know what they're supposed to be? Because the language that is used to explain what they're supposed to be is too complex. How do we break that down? Like what people like gist, people like social commentary, when they go online, they don't actually go online to learn per se, right? You want people to I designed my content in a way that I want people to accidentally scroll on my content and think, I'm talking about something, that's fun, but I've accidentally learned something and I didn't mean to learn something, but now I have. So I came on here wanting to, be angry or sad or gisty, but I've learned something. And I feel like that works really well with the content for Africa.
Wow. Because like I was like, wow, this is so. There's a way you package the videos. It's yeah, it's fun because like there's a certain vibe you bring there. So your vibe is not serious because you know me when I go there, I'm serious. I'm banging tables. I'm going crazy. Well, because people call me angry, but it's because I'm really passionate about this.
Yes.
But there's a certain lightness you bring. And people, like, when they see you, they come to like, let me, let me listen to this, to this lady.
I think it's important for, like, obviously there's a space for everyone.
Yeah.
When it comes to education, everyone's going to find different styles that resonate for them. But there's a lot of people, like, there's people, like, I've got a blazer on today, but it's just because I'm trying to be cute. It's not because I'm trying to be formal, right? There's a lot of people that want to see someone in a suit. There's a lot of people that want to see someone, like, super passionate. And, I have my moments of passion, but I also feel like we need to, when we're passionate, sometimes it alienates the people who don't understand the core of what we're speaking to, and they start to feel like we're bullying them into our agenda, right? And it's like, actually, I'm not. This is information that here, take it away and do what you will with it. And understanding that human behavior means that it's something I've learned in life, right? Is that we all have our way of wanting things to be, or that we think things should be, but we cannot see 360 degrees of an angle. It's the same way I post open format. I don't post to tell people what to do or what they should think. I post because this is currently what I think, and based on leaning on the knowledge that I have of what I know. However, I'm not the oracle. I am not all knowing, all seeing, right? I believe that I have been put here for a purpose, to spread the knowledge that I do have, but also my platform for me is a learning platform. So I can then have access to, I thought this was a good idea. What is it? And people are like, no, this is a terrible idea, Charmaine. I'm like, actually, might actually be terrible. And I've also learned from my audience. So people always speak to me. They're like, oh, you always engage with people in your comments. And I'm like, yeah, I try my hardest, even though there's loads of them, to speak to people and to read through them, because I want to digest this. I want to see what actual additional information you can give to me, or what extra perspectives. Like, I didn't think about that. That's really interesting. Or if I'm posting something about a country that I don't live in, for example, it's like, it's exciting when I speak about Kenya and Kenyans chime in, they're like, this is great. How do you know this? Like, you've done your research well. But I also get pushback, right? People are like, you don't know nothing about our country, you don't know what we're going through. And that's also important, because most people don't have that ability to push back on international news. International news about Africa is usually very one-sided. It's on the television screen. Who are you shouting at? You may shout at the screen if you want, but no one's listening. Or it's through traditional news channels where the people who are reporting are separate to the platform themselves. This is my personal platform. People can disagree with me. It's okay. I'm not angry with you. I don't like when people are personal, because some people are rude, right?
Of course.
I'll throw a question to you, actually. So I've got a few pushbacks from the fact that obviously I am British, and I live in London. I live in between London and Ghana. But I'm also mixed race, and I'm fair. And some people were like, actually, you don't have a right to speak on Pan African topics. So what are your thoughts on that?
No. Pan Africans. So my version of Pan Afrikanism, which is Pan African nationalism, which is the version that Garvey believed in as well. So basically, Pan African nationalism is Garveyism. Let me say this: like, we as Pan African nationalists, we believe that we are all in one family, regardless of whether either your mom or dad is from another race, regardless of where you come from, regardless of your religion, regardless of your skin tone, regardless of anything. We believe that if you are, like, if one of your parents is African, or if you have African lineage, strong African lineage, we are all one, and we are all in one. That's why I started by saying we are all in one family. The Pan-African colors are red, black, and green, the one that Garvey made. There's a reason why red is on top of black. Red symbolizes the African blood. Black is now this pigmentation. But there's a reason why red means that we share the same African blood. We share the same African genetics. Then black it falls below because that, like you see, look at me and you. It's different. Well, it's different in terms of skin tone, but we all share the same African blood. I get it. And that's the work I keep on doing every day, trying to educate people on Pan Afrikanism. And, like one thing I would say is that, ignore them. Like me, like I always tell, because I speak to African Americans almost every day, I tell them, you guys, look, when you come here, when you're trying to reconnect with your motherland, don't even listen to continental Africans who tell you that you're not an African. This is your birthright. This is your home. And so to me, that's all, like, nobody can tell you that this isn't your home. I mean, it's been a 400-year gap. There are a lot of things that have happened in those 400 years. And I understand reconnecting back might rub some people the wrong way. But we had, like for example, I'm an ambassador for a traveling relocation company called Traoré. They link African Americans, even Africans in the diaspora, to Kenya through travel, relocation, business investment, and so much more. And the person who started it is actually an African American. She moved from America fully. Now she lives in Kenya. Okay. Yeah, and she's bringing people. And I tell her every day, and I tell everybody, you guys, this is your home. This is your birthright. But one thing I like about the agency is that while they're coming here, they're integrating to Kenyan society. So they're not just coming here blindly. You come here, we give you a house, we give you a... No. As you're coming, they do like 120-day relocation plan. They integrate you to Kenyan culture, to Kenyan society, people. So that when you're here, the first 3 months you're like, or 4 months, you're like, okay, now I know what Kenya is and I know how to maneuver. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah. The same way you're seeing a strengthening of Africa, you're also seeing a very manipulative side of the West, right?
Yeah.
And as I said earlier, the average speaking age for the UK, for example, is like, I think it's like 9 years old. So you wouldn't want to manipulate a 9-year-old, right? You'd see it as unjust. But you want to manipulate people who can't comprehend a lot of things. So they'll use things like jobs or immigration, religion as ways to fearmonger people. And I think DEI actually was used as a tool against us without us realizing, right? Because it's like you start speaking to people and they start thinking about being dethroned. They start being angry. They were like, really, like, maybe socialists, maybe thinking we're all on the same side until you come for me, right? If I start pointing the gun at you, you start becoming defensive, right? So there are the people who are prejudiced or racist that are offensive. So they're just going, no one knows what motivates them. Guys, I don't know what motivates you. And then there are the ones that are defensive because they feel like, oh, actually something's happening here. And I think that the narrative has been very carefully constructed. At the moment in the UK, immigration is a very big topic in politics. Like everything surrounds that. And I don't know why the British public didn't learn from Brexit, for example. But I feel like in the reverse, in Africa, we need to look at that and say, actually, look at how these people are behaving. Speaking of things like corruption and not understanding that these, for the most part in Africa, they think it's just Africa that is corrupt. And for years, I've had debates about this. It's the West is just as, if not more, corrupt, because even though we have great infrastructure, you'll be like, oh, but you have free healthcare. When you go to the UK, you can get, benefits. You can not work and they'll give you some money. They'll help with your housing costs, but they're able to do that because they have stolen. So the infrastructure, if you look at the timings of when things were built and you look at where the extraction is being taken from, you can look at those timelines and very clearly see that actually these health systems, these benefits that the West was able to build on, this great infrastructure we have. Yeah, we have great tube lines. You can access anywhere in the country very easily. But if Africa is paying a huge tax on a debt that they were coerced into, because the puppeteers were put in place, because they were lobbied for, etc. How can we compare the injustice of infrastructure when we know that these people's, that the infrastructure that we have, you pay for it. Africa paid for this infrastructure, often unknowingly. right?
Yeah, indirectly, yeah.
And then this continuation became a self-fulfilling prophecy, because no one speaks about, when I travel, no one speaks about corruption of Africa and African politicians or Africa in general, or, you know, watch the people here, they steal more than Africans when you visit. They're like, oh, you know, these people are not honest. They're just volunteering this to everybody who visits, right? So if you think about that, it's like, actually somewhere that narrative needs to stop, which is why I speak about Africa. Yeah. It's like, how do we as Africans speak about each other, as Black people, how we speak about each other? We speak about each other like, Africans, you know this, we're always late. We speak very negatively to ourselves as a community. And then when the outsiders come in, they're like, you guys don't even respect yourselves. You don't believe in your government. You don't believe in your personal governance. You don't believe in your communities. You don't believe in your abilities. You want to shun each other. Why should we enter this environment and have any respect at all? And that's why we need to change the narrative. That's why we need to have more conversations. Yes, we can complain. Where are the solutions? The solutions can come very easily if we pull together. Governance and government, they can overthrow. They can decide that they're taking power, but the power can only come from the people. So it's like, okay, what can we do together? There are, within the communities, there are lawyers, there are policymakers, there are social justice people, there are people who will activate and want to go and rally. There are people who need the guidance, but they'll be good soldiers. Yeah. What people go to fight and risk their lives because somebody has led them, and said to them, this is what you do in order to make it better for your people. So if you think about that, people going and they're being sent blindly into a war zone and said, you know, there's bombs dropping everywhere. We're choosing to fly from our safe home over here because we have been led, because we don't understand what's going on completely, but we want to feel like we're doing something. Most people aren't intrinsically bad. But if the narrative is spun in a way that makes you feel like you're doing good, or you're being a good citizen, so just sit still. I'm not encouraging people to go to war in traditional way, but I'm always trying to appeal to people to have a conversation with yourself about what can be done, and then how you can come together to actually take some action, constructive action, like communities who can't afford housing. Okay, why are we waiting for people to come and help with it? Like, no one's coming to save us. Yeah. Right? What do we need? What is our purpose? Do we need to build towards escaping and having a G-Wagon? It would be nice. But if the rest of us communally are thinking about, actually, how can we think about living our best life? What do we need as humans first? All of those other dreams, they can come soon. But that only works if everybody's thinking in alignment. If you're the only person in a group that's trying to spearhead change, you're going to become the enemy. Yeah, because a lot of people who are from the same place as you, they're like, who do you think you are to come and stand against, to come and stand and decide you're the leader of us? Yeah. You think that you're more important than us. You see, usually in most communities, the people who are really successful are people who are maybe a bit simple, not presenting as very smart. They don't make people feel inferior just by being there, right? You think Trump is by accident? No. Right. The reason why he's able to lead in his community is because he comes across as someone who is a bit silly. Yeah. People they feel like they're smarter than him, so they can relate. Celebrities on reality shows, often there's a lot of bimboism that takes place. It's constructed. It's constructed in a specific way, but I've gone off on a tangent. Rein me in.
That's everybody knows that in Sell Afrika to Africans, I never interrupt guests. You go.
Yeah, but I want to also interact with you. But I get myself on a tangent. I'm used to speaking to the camera by myself, so forgive me.
One thing I want to touch on is entrepreneurship. Now, I know you're really big in entrepreneurship, especially African entrepreneurship. So you invest in African startups, yeah? One thing I've realized, now, I don't know if you know this, Charmaine. Here in Kenya, there is something called rent a mzungu. That is rent a white person.
A white person, yeah.
You've heard of that, huh?
Uh-huh. It's one of the specific things that really triggered me coming to Africa in general. My first trip actually wasn't with my family; it was with Google. And I got there and I saw a lot of amazing startups.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot more non-black startup founders than I expected. And then I saw a lot of the hire a white man and I was really taken aback by it. And then in doing more digging, I realized that there was a lot of exploitation that was taking place in that process. Sometimes it's like, okay, you've been hired to front my company. You don't do anything necessarily, but you do the legwork, right? You not the legwork, but you do the communication with the other white people, right? And then you become the face of the brand, and then you take the brand from under me. And sometimes in a more extractive way than even that. Sometimes it's not just that you've ousted me from my position per se, and I've now been demoted somehow. Sometimes it's like that founder will run off with the capital. And they run off with the capital, but guess who's left holding the bag and having to return, number one, shamefaced, number two, reputation damaged, number three, unable to raise further capital, and number four, feeling really depleted and defeated. And a community, you're like, oh, what happened to him? There was his company, did they not raise millions of pounds? Sometimes, our communities can be very daggerish, right? They're like, you thought you was going to do better than us, and now you've returned look, you're back with us now. Yeah, we're back. You're back with us. You're back having to eat hand to mouth with us. We're all together now, and there's sometimes a certain snarky joy that comes with that. And that founder actually had good intentions. Maybe not all founders that's happened to, but that does happen. But it makes sense because sometimes you find founders have two very similar verticals. One of the founders we invested in Ghana, what he was building, he was struggling to raise, but a white woman who had a KPMG background, Ivy League school, had raised 200 million off a pitch deck alone. And she was unable to get any users because obviously there's social nuances that mean that sometimes you can't just copy and paste something from the West and feel like that KPMG background is going to work. You need to have a lived African experience, or you need to immerse yourself enough to understand the African experience in order for it to work. But she was able to raise, and he was finding it hard. And he got, I think it was like 100,000 users in 48 hours because he understood, right? He was going to the areas where people needed it. We're speaking about things that frustrate me deeply as well, like founders coming to me saying they're banking the unbanked and then presenting the iOS app, and I'm like, so the unbanked have iPhones? This is who we're building for? But if you're funding Africa and you're not from Africa, there's certain things that you won't think of because you're just thinking with a Western perspective, right? So it's like, this doesn't make sense to me. Not everyone has an iPhone, so why would you build an iPhone? It's the app's fantastic, functionalities. You pitching that to someone who's used to using the iPhone, it's great, but these features don't resonate. You're not. I'm definitely not the people you're pitching that you're going to pitch to, right?
Yeah, especially in Kenya, not many people have iPhones. People use Android. All the phones here are Android.
Yes, but that is typically across Africa. That is more typical. So there are different brands and there are different, Androids that are used. But then also you have so many people that unbanked are often also people who still have a phone that just has SMS, right? So how are you incorporating this? So I started to look at during my journey, it's like, okay, it's tech and tech enabled as opposed to just tech companies, tech startups, because for the most part, you still need some physical face here. There's a distrust. People want to, like, what am I getting? Can I go? I want ZPay, for example, which was one of our portfolio companies. They had booths. They do remittances across Africa, right? So you can go on their platform. An app is not a big deal for them. It's very much SMS based, physical booths. And it works. It works because it is a wholly Ghanaian company. So they understand what the needs are, right? You can speak to your people. But yeah, the hire a white man thing is, deeply frustrates me.
It does. now, for example, I've worked for many startups when I used to be employed. Now I'm self-employed. One thing I've realized is lack of funding. Funding is a huge problem with African startups, and that's why they rent a white person. You find African founders of startups, they feel like if I rent a white person to be a CEO or a CEO, I will get funding faster because they will trust that white person more than me.
Which is why you can't be angry with the person who does it. But at the same time, you have to understand that for me, from my perspective of investing, I don't feel like venture capital investment in the Western sense is the right funding.
Really? Yeah.
And that's part of the problem. However, tech is such a new, it's quite a nascent arena. Even though in Kenya it's performing phenomenally, Egypt are doing great in terms of tech startups, it's still quite nascent. So a lot of the big players in Kenya who have created wealth through traditional means, right? Traditional industries. They're like, we can't quite get our heads around this. Like, why should we invest in this, right? I mean, with the success of M-Pesa, like obviously it made things, they're like, whoa, this is an industry, right?
It's a pioneer, actually.
But also, like, Western capital comes with strings. It comes with the fact that if you're raising, number one, you usually have to domicile outside of Africa, usually in America, right? You also raising in dollars and having to return funds in dollars, which is very complicated when we have fluctuating currencies and inflation to account for. Sometimes as a startup, you can have done 100x in terms of growth, but still be minus 25x in terms of currency, if you're returning in dollars. So local currency is really needed. And for external people who want to invest, it's like, okay, how do you look at a model that makes better sense, or what are you looking in terms of a return, and how patient can you be with that capital? Because yes, you can probably when you get an outlier and you get a company that really delivers, honestly, risk versus reward will show its own face. It is volatile if you're funding in dollars, if you don't understand how to hedge, if you don't understand what you're looking for. So what I think is really needed is cultured capital. Strategic capital, capital that understands the market that it's investing in. And if that is the case, then people will actually understand, do I really want the white face that's going to bring value up aesthetically, but usually drive costs up? I mean, if I go to if we decide that we're going to see the drafts, for example, today, and I go alone, my price and your price is not the same. Whilst maybe if someone is coming to me to buy something, maybe there'll be there's a superiority in terms of, you look and sound like you're not from here, so we trust you. When it comes to the reverse, it's like you look and sound like you can deliver more, and I can extract more from you. And also, a lot of the people that come to the continent come with good intentions, right? Even outsiders. But we have to understand that the way that Africans were colonized to begin with was because there was a malicious intent and manipulation that took place. That still resonates today in terms of a level of superiority, in terms of, come with me, I'm going to lead you to something really good, right? And in whatever format that takes, some people have come here simply to extract. So they are operating in a very colonial mindset. It's like, okay, cool, I'm going to come here. In the UK or the US, I am a nobody. No one values me whatsoever. However, when I enter this place, I'm going to be able to be looked upon as though I am a king. And that's how the reports go about. When I go to Africa, the way they look after me, I'm treated like royalty. And it's nice, it's nice to know that, we can come and, we'll be treated great. But if you're a white man who's coming to the continent and you're coming to be purely extractive, that is so damaging. Because it's damaging because why do you think like that anyway? There is also the Western savior, which we know and we speak of often.
White savior complex.
But then there is also the fact that they are enabled. They're enabled in a way that our brothers and sisters would not be, right? They are enabled because people would be like, oh, sir, yeah. It's like, what's going on here? Like, what's actually happened? Like, this person has arrived. This person, say you was working with someone, you've done all the work. The people that you know have seen that you've done all of this work, and they've seen that you're doing okay. But now this guy comes, and they're no longer talking to you, but you're his supervisor, you're his boss ultimately. But they're still speaking to this guy. They're ignoring you, and they're now saying, "Oh, you now have value." And your value is rooted in the fact that you now have a Caucasian person standing next to you. But your company, the opposite is true, because you no longer have value. Your company has value because they believe he has value, which takes from your essence and your value, which is crazy to me. It really is very frustrating.
It is. I speak on it a lot in many interviews I do. White savior complex is really bad. You make a queue in a bank or in a supermarket, and the white person gets extra privilege.
Yeah.
It's sad. It's sickening. It's sickening, especially here in Africa. It's sickening. But you know what's funny? If a black South African comes, or if a black Ghanaian comes to Kenya, nobody will even notice them. And yet they can tell by the accent, this isn't a Kenyan. But you're not giving him the same privilege you're giving that white person. So this is not like, when you ask Kenyans who do that, they're like, no, we have to give foreigners, we need to welcome them well. Okay, then why didn't you treat that black South African well?
More importantly, the black Nigerian, right? Because black Nigerians across the continent, the xenophobia is very high,
Nigerians
right?
are many here.
They have a very bad reputation. And you're going to take our women, you're going to whatever you're going to defraud us. I mean, I know I made the joke on my Instagram about the Kenyan president's joke, right, about the Nigerians taking the women, but I mean that was just a way to feed, to feed banter, the banter aspect. It was a perfect way. It's like, this is what's happened. I know already, because I know that we have a very tribalistic way of dividing ourselves, right? But it's actually, in the end, the story is about union. So this is what I mean about nuance, right? Is speaking to people in what they usually go for, right? We're usually going to go for battle. We entered this post or this video expecting that this woman has come to divide us, and we was ready to be divided. We were so ready to do Nigerian versus Kenyan, right? We were ready. I mean, some people still took on the challenge by themselves, but by the end of the video, my hopes were that actually people could see that there are inroads to wealth when we intermarry, when we all, when we cross over, when we learn each other's cultures, when we respect each other's cultures, when we appreciate the differences and the similarities, because both of those have value. It's not just when we are similar that we have value to each other. It is the differences. It's like, actually, I can learn from you because I didn't realize you could do that, and that, or I never saw stuff like this and this. Like in the West, I always grew up feeling like an arranged marriage wasn't a great thing. Yeah. And then in my adulthood, I'm like, why would you want to get married any other way? Like, you have an ecosystem that has been broken in the West. The family has been divided intentionally, right? And has been the divisiveness of the family has been propped up by social welfare states. If, for example,
especially black families
specifically, right? But you don't need to have a family unit. You can be independent. You can be a woman who has a child by themselves, because even if you fail, you don't need to rely on your husband to help to keep the family going. The state will take the role of that man, right? Yes. So you're going to still be able to eat and to live somewhere. And slowly, whilst people got used to that, they've slowly removed that from under them. So people are now suffering more because the household is not a household. It's very rare that, people are staying together. There's no one to call. Auntie, I'm upset because this person has upset me like this. No one is coming to pull your marriage together. People will be like, girl, listen, you don't need to stay with that man. You can leave, right? But the traditions that are at the heart of the African, are that we are supposed to be a unit. We are supposed to have an extended family. Yes, we are going to have conflict in the family. And they're going to call you downstairs for no reason and expect you to like, Charmaine, I'm good. Like, these things are going to happen. I'm coming. Like, you could have just told me what you want, but we know these frustrations will happen. We know that, people in the family are going to annoy us, all this stuff. But mental health, we're struggling with at the moment. We're struggling with financially, economically, because we're being divisive and we haven't even realized that we've been manipulated into that, right? But when you come and you live back on the continent, you realize what culture really means. Like, I realized that I've been living an uncultured lifestyle. And I say that to say this, right? In the UK, we're so much more cultured and more close to our African roots than a lot of the Americans. I mean, you've probably seen the debates online at the moment about them. There's a bunch of Americans who are saying that they're boycotting African food and hair shops. And I'm like, what? This is so confusing for me. I'm like this, the space between this space-time continuum that's taking place here. What do you even mean? Why on earth would you boycott them and then go and eat at McDonald's? Like, this is crazy to me. Like, it doesn't, like, the math just doesn't math. But I feel like if they spent more time and understood actually the values that are attributed to some of the cultural stuff. And then likewise, when people come to the UK, they're like, oh, so we've been punishing each other for how long? They say that you have to use, or you often have to leave Africa to love Africa. So a lot of people who have left, and they're like, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. I know people warned me. They said, if you go to that place, it's not good. But I was determined, and everyone was determined. Everyone was at the airport. They saw me off. Everyone was proud of me. I've left and I'm going to find a better life. And I've realized that here, I'm treated like a third-class citizen. I'm treated as though my opinions mean nothing. I don't have a voice. I'm working for people who don't respect me. I've been here for 20 years and I've seen people get hired after me with less knowledge than me, surpassing me.
That's what I was going to ask you. People talk about racism in America so much, but very few about Europe, particularly England. How's the nature of racism in the UK?
So UK's racism is very different to American racism, because I kind of feel like I prefer American racism, if I was going to, because it's they say it's better the devil you know, right? So you know how to worship against the devil that you see in front of you. Whereas in the UK, it's very
subtle.
It's very subtle. So it's like, it's the same way it's why they were the greatest colonizer, right? It's such a small little island, but a great colonizer, because it's very manipulative in the way that they're demeaning you and making you feel like you're less than. So it won't be, you're black, I don't like you, in the way it would be in America. They're just like, I'm not hiring you, I don't like niggers. They'll say that in America, right?
Really?
They could be as they'll likely get sued, but the ones who really feel like that, they will speak up. In the UK, it's not going to be like that. They're going to make you feel like you didn't deserve the position by saying, we've looked at a lot of people and you're probably one of the worst candidates because of X, Y, Z. Your skill set just wasn't, what it could be or whatever it is. So you leave there thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't apply for this position or another one like it. It's something that will make you question whether or not racism is even happening, because it's so subtle. So you start to think, is it me? Like, am I making this up? And they'll be like, oh, you're using the race card again. That's what the type of response you'll get. And you'll have a lot of people who have experienced racism, but because they haven't been called a word, or they'll be like, well, I've never experienced that. And you get that from a lot of people that are pushing back. And it's like, actually, you have, just not in the way that you've understood that it's happened. So it's crazy game.
It's crazy. Good. So I'd like us to shift gears to Ibrahim Traoré. Now, he's currently our hope. I mean, if anything happens to him, man, it'll really set us back. What do you think about Ibrahim Traoré?
For me, I disagree. I believe that Ibrahim Traoré's voice has been so loud and so demonstrative. So he has gone beyond words. He's, been developing roads. He's been really bringing his words to life. And I feel like it has actually really influenced his peers. Because you are seeing not just a change in narrative of the people, but also of the leaders. Right? Leaders they've got used to being frowned upon, of people saying that they were terrible. They were used to being puppeteers and it being okay, right? Because if every African leader is a puppet, then I don't stand out in the crowd. But one thing about our people is we are supposed to be, we are proud. We have big egos, right? And it's like, actually, so they're throwing rotten tomatoes at me, but they're cheering for him. I don't really want this life anymore. I want to be the person that is celebrated. He's been celebrated in every country. When Ibrahim Traoré enters any country, he is celebrated. His humility is resounding. I mean, a lot of people do not agree with his methods, right? But for me, it's really about results. We've seen in Singapore, like, they didn't have traditional methods of ruling power. But their economy has changed substantially because they took hold of the reins. And I think only time will tell what this looks like as a bigger picture. And obviously some leaders will use the way that he's taken power to their advantage to try and, indicate that will be okay for everyone. But it can't be. It can only be right when it's for someone who's going to take power and do what is necessary. But I feel like he's providing hope for people. And I feel like wherever you can provide hope, wherever you can give people a belief that things are going to change, I feel like is always a positive, right?
It's always a positive. We celebrate Traoré here. We like, the thing I like about Traoré is that, you just do the right thing. Just get in and do, the thing about African leadership, Charmaine, is that it's very money oriented.
But I feel like I said, I feel like it's become a vicious cycle, right? So it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, I speak about often, it's like a grab and go mentality. It's like, no, like, I'm not thinking about the long term. I'm not thinking about my lineage. I'm not thinking about the fact that, you see at the moment, Ghana's finance minister is he's currently being arrested. Like, there are things taking place because you've done unjust things and you're now having to reap the repercussions of that. But we have to think about the fact that if all because a lot of people, if we're really honest, a lot of people on the continent, if they got in a position of power, they would display the same behaviors as their current leaders, despite the fact that they have had these downtrodden experiences. It's like, am I upset that you're stealing, or am I upset that you're stealing and I'm not stealing? So because that's what's been known, because it's been encouraged, and that's a narrative that's been foretold, because those people are often put in position to do just that, to be extractive. That's the reason why you have been chosen to be. We're gonna lobby for you. We as big brands, as big pharma, we're gonna give you the capital, because becoming a politician is expensive, right? Rallying is expensive. But we're going to give you that. We're going to put you on this pedestal. You're going to be able to do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah. So you're going to get in, and this guy who really wants to make change isn't, because why would we fund him? He's not going to do what we say, right? But whereas when the people start to realize that the people actually have the power, like, you can oust whoever you want. In the same way, in a company, there can be, like, you can be ousted as a CEO. Your shareholders can say no. Right? We don't want you to be, you might be the founder of this company,
but we don't want you as a CEO.
But we don't want you as a CEO. That's all a prime minister or a minister or a president. That's all they are. They are a CEO who can be ousted if the people decide so, because we are all shareholders of each country. And when you start to think about yourself as being a ruler in your own right, you start to realize that we have power and we can make change. But there has to be unity in that, because when it becomes divisive, it becomes a real problem. The great thing about seeing Ibrahim Traoré's people that surround him is they truly believe in him. They were offered money to assassinate him because he is a problem. He is positively insidious. Meaning that, usually the other governments, a lot of them have been insidious in that they're going to break things apart for the bad. but he's been positively insidious in that the global South is now worried. France is definitely gonna have its true demise because they're gonna fall substantially from the ranks that they sit at right now of power and influence and finance because of the shift in them getting kicked out of their of these colonies, right? So we're gonna see a shift. It's gonna be a big shift. But I'm hopeful that everybody will start to think, actually, if they're behaving, I should probably behave myself too.
Yeah. You've been to Ghana, now you've been to Kenya. How many other countries in Africa have you been in?
So many. Rwanda, Ethiopia. Where else have I been? I've been so many places.
So, okay, which is your favorite place you've ever been in Africa?
Oh, it's different because they're different for me. I love living in Ghana. It's very safe.
Ah, you live in Ghana? How is Ghana?
Yes, Ghana's fantastic. It's a really, really lovely place to live. But Ghana is very slow and there's a lot of things that are too slow for me. But right now, their city is like one of the best performing in the world, right?
Okay.
Their current currency, which is fantastic and great to see, right? Seeing it go back to its former glory.
Yeah.
But also, I love being in Nigeria. Not because I know, ladies, you think it's not because of that, right? It's really because I feel like when I'm in Nigeria, people are so active. It makes me feel like in Ghana, you can feel like a big fish in a small pond. In Nigeria, they're like, Charmaine, come down small. You're a very small girl, okay? You have lots to learn. You see people accumulating wealth. You see them doing good. Obviously, you see the other stuff, but you see people really building stuff, and it's against all odds. And it's so inspiring. So for me, that's really important. And then I like being in Kenya. In Kenya and Rwanda, I feel like what I like seeing is there's a different way of learning here. And I feel like for me, that's really important also. So it's like the amalgamation of all of them really is great. But I feel like if I had to choose one, if I really had to choose one, it would probably be Nigeria. My Ghanaians, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I've betrayed you all. I'm closing my eyes, but I still want light soup.
Yeah. One more thing before we wind up, before we give our last word. You heard the UN is planning to relocate its headquarters to Kenya. What do you think about that?
So I feel like it will do good for the economy in its own way, but I feel like it's also a little bit concerning. I'll save that for a topic that I'll speak on my social media channel.
But you can give us an exclusive, man.
No, I've given you everything.
But to me, I think there's something wrong with that. Because, how can you come, fine, headquarters is here, but how we should be one of the countries that has veto powers. Just like France, just like Russia, just like China, US, we should be, because if you're coming and setting up headquarters here, we should be having an upper seat in the UN.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But as we know, the global powers don't want to introduce that. They want to come and have an oversight. They want to come and extract data, information, etc. I feel manipulated.
Yeah.
I've been challenged.
Closed.
I'm starting to understand. Since I found out that I was neurodiverse, I've understood the challenges. I can really get drawn out.
Yeah.
So the need to tell my side of the story. But today I'm going to rein it in. Make sure you follow me on social media.
Yes,
I'm across all platforms. Charmaine's posts.
So just are you on TikTok as well?
Yes, all platforms, same handle.
Charmaine's posts.
Yes.
Charmaine's. I'll put the graphic on the
Thank
screen
you so
and everything.
much.
Anything you'd like to plug in?
No, I would just really like to say thank you so much.
Yeah.
Your platform is one that is very enlightening.
Yeah.
For everybody who's making content like this and speaking about the good, the bad, the ugly of Africa is really important. The messages may not go all the way to the West, but sometimes they meet halfway and they meet people like me who can then try and broadcast that further. And it's really important that all of our voices are heard, not just the ones that are positive or negative, not just the ones that resonate with me, but all of the voices, because together we become the true representation, right? And it has to be all countries as well. Africa is not it's not a country, for my diasporans, who are a bit further removed, and there are so many different viewpoints. And if your voices aren't heard, then the voices of those who are loudest are heard, and that is not always the right voice.
Charmaine, thank you so much. Welcome back again. I know you're flying today, yeah?
Yes.
Oh man, welcome back again. Welcome back again. Hopefully next time we'll have more time to talk about more stuff.
Most importantly, we will definitely, if I touch down, we will eat food, because
we're having some food after this.
Yeah.
If you have time.
I just want your Kenyans to judge you, because Kenyans are very hospitable people, right? Okay, so I just want to make sure that I've triggered something here. I like to be a bit of a party starter.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, please like, support Charmaine, Charmaine's posts. And we are changing one mind at a time. We're changing one mind at a time. Remember, I always say less is more. That's my mantra. Less is more. And I always say this, and I think I'll be saying this in every, at the end of every video. Black power is good outside of Africa, but it's great from where it came from its source, and that's Africa. Let's build black power here.
I love that. Before, I know it's your closing, but also the creators that are in Africa that are creating, I know you will all benefit from those people that are creating. So please do make sure that you support. I don't know if you have any forms that people can do donations or gifting or whatever platforms that you use, but please make sure that you guys take the effort, because in order to support people doing this full time, it costs time, energy and money, researching, filming, editing. So just take that into consideration, if you please. Not for me, but for the people.
Even for you. You have a Patreon, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have a Patreon, but it's, for me, it's really important. Like the people that are on the continent, hiring a room to film a podcast, it costs, right? Phones cost, all the equipment costs. So people don't think of it. Me, I'm like, guys, I need to use your studio when I'm in London. So I get away with a lot more, right? But I feel like it's important. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.